a small matter of a court judgment which mandates them to extend it by 2 months. But does JAMB agree with that? Well, those are some of the issues that we'll be considering next. We've got Mr. Monday Ubani, who is the former second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, legal practitioner. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program. But before we go right into that one, Mr. Ubani, first of all, can you hear us?
I'm hearing you loud and clear, Chimba.
Nice. Good morning. This matter that has been trending, this video, I mean, many have that impression, the judiciary, lawyers, because here you are getting the matter about the people, and then another legal person doing something against the people. So conflicting signals from there. But from your perspective about this particular video, yes, we've looked at provisions of the law. What likely scenarios do you see playing out? Is it still fit and proper to maintain that position in light of the video making the rounds?
Thank you, Chamberlain. I watched that video last night and I was clearly troubled, especially with the defense that was put up by the PR department of that agency. I think what should be done is a proper investigation. But from what we saw, the kind of anger being displayed by that high-ranking public officer, it's clearly uncalled for. Somebody in such a position should try as much as possible to be very circumspect, no matter how you are provoked. His reaction was clearly uncalled for. And I think that the proper thing at this juncture is for investigation to be carried out. What made him to do what he did? Remember, there was somebody that even slapped that man. I mean, that might happen to be either his brother or somebody else that he was with before the judge himself, took that particular step that I considered very, very primitive. It's clearly unbecoming of somebody in that position. But as I said earlier, it's important to also investigate thoroughly and know what transpired. Even though somebody will say, from what we have seen so far on that video, no matter how provoked you are as the public officer who is in that position, who should be both within and out, a mentor, somebody people should look up to. There's no way you have exercised such anger, did what he did on that helpless security guard. It was clearly, something that is in bad taste. But a thorough investigation should be. But if it is in life crime, this man should step aside for now until this investigation is carried out. For somebody in such a position, it's clearly dishonorable from what we are seeing on that video.
Because, I mean, he was a judge before he became the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And, looking through the revised Code of Conduct for judicial officers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you see that a judge shall avoid impropriety and the appearance of impropriety in all his activities. It talks about the judge should respect and comply with the laws of the land. And right there, you would seem that the man's right to, simple dignity, human dignity was trampled on. And we could talk about assault, battery, and it goes on and on. So doesn't it call to question really the progression? Because that's what is expected, minimum standard from a judge who now is a chairman of the...
You're very right. As I said earlier, he's a symbol. Whether he's presiding over a case in court or outside the court, he remains a symbol of dignity, a symbol of respect, a symbol, of whatever is virtuous. But what we are seeing on that video is clearly not virtuous at all. He didn't display, a proper conduct, expected of a judge. Chairman of the Code of Conduct. Conduct. What the tribunal is all about. It's about conduct. Now, can that conduct that we're seeing on video be expected of a judge? Is it a proper display of a conduct of a person in such a high position? I don't think so. But it is also important we carry out an investigation. Let's give him the opportunity of a hearing. It's important that we took note of what he has, his department, his agency has put out there, of what happened, calling Biafra, calling all manner of persons now that actually, assaulted him. That is his own version. But from what we are seeing in this video, he actually was clearly
okay,
wrong.
Mr. Bani,
but it is important we do a thorough investigation.
We'll come back to the subject matter, which has to do with the NIN, but I think they've said it several times that over 60% of those in prison custody today are awaiting trial mates. They haven't had the opportunity of fair hearing yet. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.
Certainly an issue of concern, but before we go to that one, Mr. Bani, I just want to ask, you're a former official of the NBA, and there are those clamoring and saying, this is something the NBA should take on. Do you think it is something the NBA would want to take on, this issue with the CCT chairman?
I think so. It's important that the NBA comes up with a statement, regarding what we saw on that video. Me is not in the best interest of the legal profession if a judge would display such unwarranted anger in public. The eyes of the members of the public is clearly unbecoming. I think the president of the bar expects him to share a statement with regards to that, and I think that one of the things the president of the bar would say is that there must be a thorough investigation as to what transpired yesterday at that particular plaza. Is it true, that it was that judge assaulted that young man in that video? And if he did, what could have provoked him to the level of display of such unwarranted anger? I'm sure those people didn't know that he's a judge. It was probably when this inside trending that they found out who he was or who he is, and that's why there is much palpable anger all over the country concerning what transpired. And then the statement they issued again, after the entire thing, trying to deny what everyone saw on that video, so it's more provoking. So I would expect, and I know that after the president of the bar, who is very proactive, will be able to share a statement. You see, when we begin to do things properly concerning people in profession, everyone become very careful what he does, either in public or even in private. Even where you with your wife, with your family, there is a level of expectation that everyone must look up to. When you are occupying a position of dignity. So if you don't display it either within or without, then there are consequences. So I think that NBA will. I am not happy that a member of the bench, of that high regard, will conduct himself in such a manner. And also, he's heading conduct. Tribunal is the one in charge of conduct of tribunal.
Well, still, just one moment, Mr. Bani. Just one moment. Still talking about conduct and the profession, one would expect that, of course, the Judicial Commission would also be interested. What's the process? Who should be making that report to the NJC on this matter? Should we, as you have said, get to that point?
I think a particular NGO has already, put out a statement that I read this morning about what happened yesterday in Abuja. There must be a formal complaint to NJC. I don't know whether it even falls within the description of a judge, and that has always been the issue. Whether this code of conduct tribunal is part of judicial system. Remember that when Justice Onoge's retired Justice Onoge's matter came up, the issue of following the normal process, that judiciary follow was not followed. Rather, it was as if he was an arm of the executive. And so there is issue of decision. This issue of code of conduct tribunal, is it part of the executive or part of the judicial system? And we found out the definition of the Constitution is not even part of the judiciary. So I don't know whether he can also be disciplined by the NJC. Can he come under the disciplinary powers of the NJC? I don't think, based upon the provision of the Constitution that, and the law that set up that particular tribunal. So I don't know how. Maybe the Judicial Service Commission can discipline him, or the NBA, as I said, should be able to spearhead this issue of having this man being brought to book. If it is a civilized claim, by now the man will have, resign temporarily, or step aside temporarily, pending the full investigation of what transpired. He has not displayed a proper conduct expected of his position. He's the chairman of, for God's sake, Code of Conduct Tribunal. And we see him assaulting a security guard in the eyes of the public.
He even was being held by a policeman. And according to him, those policemen are not even, with him. There are other policemen that were probably guiding the environment, and they were trying to. He was even trying to go back in order to, kick and be a young man, again until the people there prevailed against him. So I think that his conduct is clearly unbecoming of the person occupying such a high position, and the proper thing to do in the circumstances is to make sure that there is a proper investigation, and that investigation turns out to be very indicting, then he should resign from that position. He didn't display proper conduct as was expected of him.